Breaking news from Pakistan at this moment. An inquiry commission set up by Pakistan's Supreme Court has criticized their government for failing to ban terror groups and accused Interior Minister Chaudhry Nisar Ali Khan of meeting a cleric who heads 3 proscribed groups and conceding to his demands in a scathing indictment of the efforts of the government and Khan to counter the terror groups. The commission said that the Interior Minister had, and I quote now, displayed little sense of ministerial responsibility, and I quote again, inexplicably delayed in proscribing terror organizations, unquote. It's a big embarrassment for the Nawaz Sharif government in Pakistan, with the Supreme Court in Pakistan coming down hard on the efforts to rein in terror groups.
Unfortunately, although several appeals have been made by India to Pakistan, even through US and through other powerful countries, that they should deal with the terrorists with a firm hand, but unfortunately that had not been happening, and now we hope that since Pakistan judiciary has taken note of this fact and has in fact reprimanded or advised the Pakistan government to take steps against terrorists, we hope something positive would be done.
Go across to my colleague Madhav for more on this. Big embarrassment, Madhav, for Nawaz Sharif. The Supreme Court coming down hard, singling out the Interior Minister. There are visuals of that meeting, I'm being told, as well.
Well, absolutely. In fact, a huge embarrassment for Nawaz Sharif. I mean, at one level, of course, Pakistan does, of course, say that these are only charges that are leveled at it from outside. Also claims to be a victim, really, of terror that is emanating from its own soil. But clearly, in this sense, of course, we're looking at the Supreme Court coming down very heavily on the government and its own conduct, raising big questions, as you said, as far as the role of the Prime Minister is concerned, the role of the Interior Minister is concerned, and certainly an issue that the Prime Minister of the country will have to explain to his own citizens, no less.
All right, there you go. Nawaz Sharif government there, especially Interior Minister Chaudhry Nisar Ali Khan has been singled out by the commission set up by the Pakistani Supreme Court, saying and charging the minister as well as the government of Nawaz Sharif of not doing enough to rein in terror groups, in fact conceding to their demands and hobnobbing with them. Out of the fact that the Interior Minister of Pakistan has been accused by its own Pakistani Supreme Court, a commission set up by the apex court in that country, really burst the balloon as far as Pakistan's tom-tomming about trying to rein in terror groups in their own country are concerned.
Well, we very often refer to Pakistan as a failed state, and really what better example of it than this, when the government itself is directly accused of promoting terrorists. So then who is going to take action on them? That's the big question that perhaps the Pakistan government needs to answer, because every time there is pressure put on it externally, whether it is from the United States, whether it's from the EU, or perhaps even from neighbors like India, it only says and pleads that it is a victim of terror and that it's trying to fight terror. But clearly its own internal mechanisms in terms of its judiciary coming out and criticizing the Interior Minister for hobnobbing with terror groups and terrorists clearly shows that all is not well in Pakistan.
Right.
That is a deliberate strategy as far as the state that is concerned, and that's what's very evident as far as this matter is concerned.
All right, Madhav. We also take a look now at what defense experts in India are saying about this. Raj Qadian, Lieutenant General Qadian has just spoken. Let's take a look.
This may be a well-meaning stricture passed by the Supreme Court, but unless the Pakistani army, which is running the government, changes its policy of using terror as an instrument of state policy, things will not change. I don't think the Pakistani army is much concerned about the legal niceties of how they are running the country. So I don't think, despite all these strictures, Pakistan is in the near future likely to change its course of action.
Major General Chaudhry Bakshi joining us now on the phone line right now. General Bakshi, the Pakistani Supreme Court had set up a committee and they've indicted the government in that country, especially Interior Minister, of hobnobbing with chiefs of terror groups. I can see Hafiz Said, Samiul Haq, the others I'm not too sure of. Sheikh Rashid, I think, is a legitimate politician in Pakistan. But still, this indictment burst the balloon of Pakistan tom-tomming about trying to rein in what they call homegrown terror.
And this is the Pakistani Supreme Court. This is not the Indian Supreme Court that has passed these strictures. They have, by name indicted Chaudhry Nisar, the Interior Minister of Pakistan, for hobnobbing with the terrorists, leaders of the, various band outfits. The only point is even the Pakistani Supreme Court seems to be a little too scared to try and take on head-on, the Lashkar-e-Taiba, the Jaish-e-Mohammed, and the Hizbul Mujahideen, which are the proteges of the Pakistani military ISI complex. But the fact is that somebody has summoned up the courage to tell the Pakistani state that it is going on the route to disaster. It is going on the route to weaponizing civil society in Pakistan. It is going on the route to the undermining of the state in Pakistan. You see, a modern Westphalian nation state is premised upon disarming the population. The moment you have cartoon networks like this, fully armed with Kalashnikovs, rocket launchers, etc., you are undermining the stability of the state, and Pakistan is heading for ruin. I think it would be wise on their part to take counsel of their Supreme Court. But the pity is even the Supreme Court has fought shy of hauling up the Lashkar-e-Taiba. Just yesterday, Hafiz Said was spewing venom. When the Pakistani army has been wise enough, sensible enough to call a halt to the firing, because the Indian army has shown its teeth. It has fired its heavy gun. And they know that if they push further, it will lead to serious escalation. They have backed down, and there is complete silence on the line of control. But when there is silence on the line of control, we have the likes of Hafiz Said thundering, pouring venom against India, threatening to break India into pieces. And I'm afraid either he is the defense minister of Pakistan or somebody else. Hafiz Said cannot be the foreign minister, defense minister, prime minister of Pakistan, because then India will have to deal very differently.
All right, stay with us, General Bakshi. NC Wij also joining us, former Army Chief. General Wij, this of course is proof that even in Pakistan, nobody is really buying the talk that Pakistan of course likes to tom-tom about reigning in terror groups. The Pakistani Supreme Court has now wrapped the Interior Minister of Pakistan of not doing enough, in fact conceding to demands. General Wij?
Hello.
Yes, General Wij, go ahead.
No, this is a fact which we knew it for decades now, and it is only confirmed by their own people and their own Supreme Court. There can't be anything more than that, which is more authoritative than that, and I think the Pakistanis must draw a big lesson from it, and it only proves the Indian story very much, without any question and without any doubt.
Right, that of course was General Wij there saying it only proves what India has been saying for a while now, and coming from the Pakistani Supreme Court, a commission appointed by them, and rapping the Indian minister quite hard, saying that he's not only hobnobbing with the chiefs of such outfits, he has delayed proscribing them as terror groups. And he of course was mentioning Hafiz Said as well, who heads the Jamaat-ud-Dawa front for the LET, and other clerics who are considered hardline in Pakistan but are considered to be actively funding and promoting terror in other countries, especially against India, while living on Pakistani soil. So the Pakistani government now, a big embarrassment for them. Their own Supreme Court in that country has wrapped them for the little efforts really, or the scanty efforts that they have. In fact, General Bakshi is still with us. General Bakshi, the fact that the court has accused Chaudhry Nisar Ali of not only hobnobbing with these hardline extremist clerics, but also conceding to their demands.
You know, the fact, Asan, is that Chaudhry Nisar is supposed to head their National Counter-Terrorism Authority. And this has not met more than once in the last 3 years. Not more than once in the last 3 years has this Counter-Terrorism Authority, of which he heads, ever met. There is the Supreme Court has accused the total lack of coordination between the central and the state government. The state governments are giving funds to organizations like the Lashkar-e-Toiba, which General Pervez Musharraf calls, a charitable organization, and he seems to be equating Hafiz Saeed with Mother Teresa. That is the amazing state of affairs. I'm glad the Pakistani Supreme Court has woken up. It has identified the elements like the Lashkar-e-Jhangvi and, a few of these other outfits, and it has taken to task, Justice Fay has taken to task these people for gross dereliction of duty, for not taking action, for not only not taking action, for hobnobbing with the leaders of these terrorist organizations, calling them to their official Punjab Bhavans, and meeting them and, going extremely soft on them, providing them patronage to Pakistan's own detriment. Pakistan will go down the route to disaster. Pakistan will go down the route to disaster if this state of affairs continues.
Right. General Bakshi, stay on with us. General Shankar Roy Chaudhry also joining us right now, and Major Shahryar as well from Pakistan. General Chaudhry, first to you. This is a big embarrassment for the Pakistani government. I mean, it exposes their claims that they are indeed fighting extremists and terror within their own country, when their own court says you're not only hobnobbing with them, you're in fact conceding to these extremist demands.
Yeah, look, I have a lot of respect for the Pakistani Supreme Court. They are a court of, like our own Supreme Court. I have a lot of respect for them, regard for them. And they now have indicated that one of their ministers is talking with terrorists. Now, here we have to be a little careful, even though it's a Pakistani Supreme Court that's talking, which terrorists does Pakistan consider to be terrorists? The good Taliban or the bad Taliban? Now, the bad Taliban are those who are acting against Pakistan. And the good Taliban are those who are acting outside Pakistan against India, mainly against India. So fine, the Pakistan Supreme Court has indicted one of their own ministers for hobnobbing with terrorists. We have got to wait, watch, and evaluate. Even after the Supreme Court's decision, will they keep now differentiating between good terrorists and bad terrorists? Will they go back to the Supreme Court and say, Your Honors, we are not now contacting any terrorists. We are talking to, let us say, Jamaat-ud-Dawa, which is really speaking, according to the Pakistanis, a charitable organization. So we are not talking to the Hizbul Mujahideen or the Lashkar-e-Taiba. We're talking to Jamaat-ud-Dawa, which is really, again, the basis of all these terrorist organizations. Now, I do not know whether these maneuvers will come up inside Pakistan, and whether, as a matter of fact, the Pakistani Supreme Court, if these maneuvers come up, will they pull them up for contempt of court? It's an interesting situation. We have to wait and watch, because I think the terror groups in Pakistan will now use their own legal strategists to see if they can run rings around their own Supreme Court. That is my view on that, and we've got to wait and watch.
All right, Major Ajay Shahryar joining us right now. Beg your pardon, sir, I got your name wrong in the first instance. Major Shahryar, how do you see this development?
You must understand that by Indian government making a international noise on the Pakistan-sponsored terrorism has got some ears in the Pakistan. And the Pakistan army has never recognized this fact. And the Pakistan government, since time immemorial, have been working under the Pakistan army. But it is the terrorism in Pakistan or the Pakistan-sponsored terrorism had been affecting the local population in Pakistan, and there are some sane people, maybe the Supreme Court of Pakistan, which has taken cognizance of it and which has stirred up the Pakistan government to do something about it. This had to happen because the Indian stand has changed over the last couple of years. We have become more proactive, we have become more vocal, and we have become more punitive to Pakistan terrorist acts. And they are fearing that India may take a strong action in any serious Pakistan-sponsored terrorism towards India. So they have to take a call on this. And the call has been given by the Supreme Court to the Pakistan government. And let's see, as the General Shankar Chaudhry said, let's wait and watch how the things develop in Pakistan.
All right, General Bakshi and General Chaudhry both with us. General Bakshi, quickly then, last word, do you really expect anything to change on the ground after the Supreme Court rap? Because after all, it is the Pakistani government which will have to go after these guys, and they're not likely to do so. General Bakshi? We don't have General Bakshi. We have General Chaudhry though, and let's get a closing comment from General Chaudhry here. General Chaudhry, would you say, I mean, you said, I know you said you wait and watch. It's an interesting development, full marks really, and high respect for the Pakistani Supreme Court for saying what they did. But what next?
Look, what I just said earlier, and what I respect the Pakistan Supreme Court. I respect the Pakistan Supreme Court. But I am fairly sure that the terrorist organization in Pakistan will say we are not the Lashkar-e-Taiba, we are the Jamaat-ud-Dawa. We are a charitable organization, and they will try to run, as I said, defend themselves from their own Supreme Court. I think they will try and continue their terrorism against India as far as possible. And we really have to wait and watch, because the hardcore active terrorist groups are not going to give up their pressure against India, and we will have to maintain, not only wait and watch, we have to take our own action on that. Meanwhile, the Pakistani High Court has passed its verdict or comments depending upon the situation inside Pakistan, as I think your other guest was saying. There's a local problem also. But I don't think, have seen the last of this problem, and we will have to maintain whatever measures we are taking against Pakistan-sponsored terrorism inside India, particularly in Kashmir.
All right. Thank you, General Chaudhry, for joining us. We, of course, will move on to other stories, more breaking news, meanwhile, coming in.